Well, as we just discussed, somebody is lying in this whole thing. It could be Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, or David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, or it could be the IRS whistleblower, but one wonders why he would. He could have enjoyed his anonymity and not brought this upon himself. But if it is the Attorney General, then he should face impeachment charges. In fact, we've heard from Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy now saying that that's exactly the path that they're beginning to walk down. And if he does, it will be this man amongst the panel of congressmen in the Judiciary Committee who will weigh those impeachment charges. He is Representative Greg Steube of Florida, and he joins us now. Thanks for joining us tonight, Congressman.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm sure you've heard what the Speaker had to say about this, and do you agree that this rises to the level of impeachment for the Attorney General?
100%. I don't think this is the first time he's been dishonest with the American people. I've already signed on to an impeachment resolution for Merrick Garland, as well as Mayorkas, as well as Biden. They went after President Trump time and time again for nothing, and then they actually are the ones committing crimes and should absolutely be impeached. So Merrick Garland not only should be impeached, but he should be brought before the American people, brought before those committees and testified. So now that we have information from those whistleblower, lying to Congress is a crime. So he should be held accountable for the criminal activity of lying to Congress, if in fact he did that, which I believe he did based on the representations that were made.
Yeah, and again, somebody's lying. We have two different stories coming from three different people. It appears that U.S. Attorney David Weiss is backing up his boss, the Attorney General Merrick Garland. They both say that there's been nothing stopping Mr. Weiss from bringing charges should he have found any crimes to bring charges. That's sworn testimony, and now we have this sworn letter from the whistleblower. How exactly do you go about putting this together now?
Well, you have that testimony, and in that testimony, the whistleblower identified specific people in the DOJ who told him and who were stonewalling him, told him not to do subpoenas, not to do search warrants, wouldn't get approval for certain things. So those people we need to start bringing them in as a subpoena under oath, asking them questions under oath, because I believe those individuals, I think one of the names was Leslie Wolf,
yes.
Those individuals obstructed justice, in my opinion. If they weren't allowing an investigation to move forward in a normal manner against the normal procedures that the FBI and the IRS has, and they were stonewalling that, not allowing for search warrants to be issued, coordinating with Hunter's counsel, a lot of very unsundrious things that, in my opinion, were obstructing the administration of justice on this case. We should start bringing those people in and questioning them as well. And I believe that the Ways and Means chairman, from my conversations with him, have intentions to do that.
I'm sure you saw the press briefing on Friday. It was extraordinary to actually see members of the White House press corps asking tough questions and sort of ganging up on Karine Jean-Pierre and Mr. Admiral Kirby. They kept referring all the reporters to the statement that the White House counsel put out. The statement from the White House counsel is extraordinary, Congressman Steube. They claim that, as we've always said, President Biden was not in business with his son. Is that what they've always been saying? That he wasn't in business with Hunter?
Well, the story keeps changing. And of course, they're going to obstruct from the White House perspective, because the American people, and I was surprised, too, to see the level of now the mainstream media starting to talk about it, because there's so much information and facts out there now that they can't ignore it. And you have them trying to be like, oh, Hunter or President Biden had no knowledge of Hunter's business dealings, when in fact, in the whistleblower testimony, there are WhatsApp messages that were taken from search warrants that Hunter is talking to a Chinese Communist Party official saying, my father is sitting next to me, don't make me put him on the phone.
Yeah.
My father, X, Y, and Z is with me. And suddenly, soon thereafter, they got their $5 million. You don't think that the president was involved in this? And now we have actual documented WhatsApp messages from Hunter Biden saying that his father was involved. I can't say, being a lawyer, I can't think of any stronger evidence on the issue than that.
And it seems like a pretty easy question to answer. Was the president sitting next to his son when that message was sent? We know what time it was sent. We know what day it was sent. Or was the president, was Hunter Biden lying? That's easy, but they refuse to answer that question.
Yeah, the White House refuses to answer that question because they don't want to, again, lie to the American people that then, through discovery of some of this other information, can shown to be completely and utterly false.
That's right.
This isn't over. The Ways and Means Committee is committed to continuing the IRS part of this investigation. The Oversight Committee is committed to the overall investigation, and the Judiciary Weaponization Committee, which I have the honor to serve on, is also having a piece of the judicial Merrick Garland side of this because of the complete weaponization and politicization of the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Listen, the entire conversation we've had so far is just shot through the lens of corruption, because it looks like really simple to explain corruption too. A lot of money flowing in to 20 different shell corporations, favors exchanged for it, and then you've got obstruction and cover-up. That's good old-fashioned corruption in Washington. There's the other element of it, Congressman Steube, and that has to do with the two tiers of justice. That this sort of thing gets a slap on the wrist with Hunter Biden pleading out to misdemeanors, and yet look at how Republicans, conservatives are treated. Look at the President of the United States with these extraordinary, unprecedented charges brought against him, charges that have never been brought against a current candidate for president as he is. How do you address that aspect? It's one thing to address the corruption and the high crimes and misdemeanors, but it's this deteriorating effect on the American public where they feel like there are two sets of rules. If we can't rely on our Justice Department, then we start to fall into anarchy, sir.
100% agree, and that's exactly the purpose of the Weaponization Committee that was created to investigate these type of things, bring it before the American people. And just think for a second, if we didn't have the majority in the House, none of this information that we just discussed would be before the American people. The Democratic majority in the House wouldn't investigate these things. So, but for Republicans having the majority and the ability to investigate these things, and the avenue for whistleblowers to come forth and talk to us, has given this information before the American people. And you're right, the politicization goes all the way to the top, and that's what we plan on bringing forth, so the American people can see the complete differences between the two parties come 2024.
I'm sure you saw the image of Hunter Biden following his father up the steps of Marine One so they could get away for a weekend at Camp David. Are you concerned that they were really just trying to get their story straight and come up with their defense together?
Oh, it would not surprise me at all that that type of activity is going on. Clearly, there's coordination between what Hunter Biden was doing and what was happening with Joe Biden's official activities. He was the liaison when he was vice president to the Ukraine. Suddenly, Hunter Biden's on a board over there making $80,000 a month and was doing other things in those countries. Vice President then Joe Biden was in charge of the Chinese Communist Party policy. Suddenly Hunter Biden's making tens of millions of dollars in relationships there. And we now have direct evidence of a message from Hunter to a Chinese Communist Party individual that he's sitting next to his father. I mean, the level now of evidence that we have to go after impeachment, to show the American people just how corrupt the Biden family is. Yeah. I don't think Watergate had this level of evidence.
I would have to agree with that. And the difference there, though, is that it seemed like President Nixon had some sense of shame, had some sense of awareness of how important. Yeah. What does it tell you that Joe Biden is so audacious and doesn't give a flip about the American people or appearances, that he would invite Hunter Biden to a state dinner and let him hang out in a black tie with, other U.S. senators and then spend a weekend at Camp David? It's pretty audacious.
Well, and the step above that is these officials like Merrick Garland and others who are willing to risk going to jail for lying to Congress, all for Joe Biden. That's the piece of it I just don't understand at all, why these other individuals, Merrick Garland, Weiss, are willing to completely put up their integrity, their career, and everything else. And thank the Lord we have people like this brave whistleblower who are willing to come forward and say, okay, enough is enough. Look at the complete miscarriage of justice that's going on in the IRS.
Yeah, well, one last thing, we only have 30 seconds, but it was striking to me that every single Democrat in the Ways and Means Committee wanted to silence this information. They voted no against releasing the whistleblowers' information. Are you concerned that the Democrats are going to try to drag their feet and obstruct your efforts in the House? Or do you think maybe at least one of them might step up and say, yeah, this is a problem?
Yeah, suddenly Democrats don't like whistleblowers, yet when they were investigating President Trump, they love whistleblowers. And suddenly now they don't want the information through a congressional committee that was brought to us by an official whistleblower to be made out for the American people. I was shocked that not a single Democrat wanted that information to be out there in the American public.
Yeah, well, listen, I will join you in thanking God we at the very least have that 4 or 5 seat majority in the House. All we needed was the one to be able to control these investigations, and I'm glad you're in the majority, Congressman Steube. There's more to come on O'Connor tonight.